guys, how you going? Young Ewan here from Advanced Property Strategies, and welcome back for another week of hopefully interesting information. I'm out on the road again. I love seeing property, touching it, tasting it, seeing what's happening, talking to people. I love talking to neighbours and seeing what's going on, as well as real estate agents from time to time. They're not too bad too. So anyway, hopefully, glad you've joined us today. In these next few weeks of podcasts, we'll be talking about mistakes that developers make. And some of these mistakes are applicable to investors as well, but primarily developers, because especially in the niche of growing. I love being a developer, I enjoy it. There are some ups and some downs, especially some challenges with council from time to time. Going to court on one actually at this point in time. Hopefully by the time this recording comes out, that'll be all done and dusted and the money's in the bank. But there's always challenges, like with anything, when you're wanting to change the use of something, when you're subdividing something, developing something, building something, there's going to be some challenges along the way. So we're talking about the mistakes that developers make and how you can avoid them. I've been doing property, as you probably heard over the last few episodes. I've been doing property for nearly 20 years now. It's actually been 19th year of doing property. I started doing property when I was 21. Yes, you got it right. I'm turning 40 this year. Seems like I actually finally have figured out the formula and just getting started. But anyway, I've done a lot of property, made a lot of money, also made a lot of mistakes, and hopefully you don't have to make those same mistakes as I have. Some of the mistakes I've made have been exacerbated or multiplied, especially when the market has shifted. Let's say in the GFC, when the market goes down, it really exposes you and your weaknesses significantly. However, there's mistakes that you can make even when the market's going great and you haven't taken your money and run. So the typical one that most beginners, whether they're investors or developers, when they're starting out, is definitely paying too much. And sometimes when the market's heated, you get lost in the moment. You justify to yourself that you can make money anticipating market rises, and you just pay too much. Something that you should only pay $1 million for, you might pay 1.2 or 1.3, hoping that everything will be fine. And the challenge with that is that development, I say to people, it's like building a house. In development, and when we talk about development, there are so many ways of developing, whether it's building townhouses, building apartments, subdividing land, removal homes and things like that, that there's a lot of moving parts, and with moving parts come variations and durations and delays and all that. And because of that, there's always going to be extra holding costs, extra costs from council, extra requirements from council, reduced yields because of council, trees that you can't cut down. So as a developer, you really need to be conservative, and what that consequently means is that the amount of sites that you actually buy may reduce significantly. I say to people, 99% of sites don't stack. 99% of sites don't stack, and the fact that they don't stack is just normal. So you've got to really understand that and take that on board and realize that's just part of the game. And so how do you know how to pay the right amount? Well, you need to understand and get yourself educated, not just go do a course. I do courses and I train people and I give people feasibility templates, but that's just the start. If you've done some renos, buy reno sells, buy reno holds, you'll know that there are different ways of doing things, and you've got to figure some things out for yourself. Like, for example, you got to find out your niche. What is your niche? Is it townhouses? Is it land subdivision? Is it apartments? Is it buy, reno, hold, buy, reno, sell? Is it doing removal homes? So is it commercial property development? So my point is that you need to find your niche, and that's really how you get really good with numbers, with your feasibilities, especially when you're doing smaller ones. Let's say you do a 1 into 2, or build 2 townhouses, or build 3 or 5 apartments. You'll get to understand what the actual costs are, not just the raw costs of building those things, developing those things, but the council fees along the way, actual timeframes that things actually take for things to happen. The subdivision I'm doing at the moment, it is 30 lots. It sounds pretty exotic. There's about an $8 million gross realization value, i.e. total value at the end. But yeah, there's a whole stack of fees and time and energy that's required, and a lot of it I didn't know until I got to that point where the fees were invoiced or that hiccup hit me. But I made sure I had a really fat allowance for those fees, throw in another 100 grand, another 200 grand to see if I could break the feasibility. And so, yeah, paying too much, not understanding how to do the feasibilities. Every project is different. You could do 2 projects in the same street on the same side with the same size of land, and I promise you the costings will be different. It could vary by at least 5%. And for a project that's $1 million in value, that's 50 grand. So it could be a difference between 20% yield and 15% yield. So so my point is that really the only way to really understand or get those costings right is by doing smaller projects along the way, getting to understand the costs, getting to understand the process, getting to understand your team and what they're actually saying, because you may not actually understand some of the consequences of the decisions that you've made because of various recommendations that your team has put to you as well. So so paying too much, not being able to do the feasibility right. The other thing is that most people get mistakes in development is that they chop and change their strategy all the time. They chop and change their strategy all the time. So they see and try to chase the shiny bright object. They want to find the fastest way to make a buck. Not yesterday, not today, but right instantly. They want to be able to make that $3 million, that $5 million, and maybe because they're itching to get out of the job. It's a bit bumpy at the moment. I'm just out on site. Maybe they're just itching to get out of their job or get out of the circumstances they're in, like pay off debt or finalize a project or be able to exit from their pain, that they just want to be able to make the quick buck. And then that's a big problem, wanting to make the quick buck. Quick up can also mean quick down. So that patience is really instrumental for people to be able to maintain composure during tough times and not put themselves in positions where they may put themselves under a stressful situation. So I think knowing your niche and growing slowly, thinking big and starting small, as I often say, is really critical. Think big, start small, so that you're not you're just not chopping and changing and you're not making too big a mistake. If you're changing from townhouses to land subdivision, all right, there's a completely different strategy, completely different mindset, different abilities to be able to sell stock, time frames, finance. There's so many different variables that you just don't understand until you get stuck or you talk to somebody and get a reality check on it, right? So in summary for this segment of the podcast, we're talking about mistakes that developers make. 1 being paying too much, 2, not knowing how to do the feasibility, and 3, not having a clear niche or a clear game plan, or changing all the time. And therefore, because you're changing all the time, you're not getting sharper. You're getting, you could say, looser with your numbers, and you're guesstimating and hoping that you'll make money at the end of the day. And in a game like this, when the stakes are high, you just can't afford to guess and you can't afford to lose, because one mistake, one bankruptcy, and that'll put you out for a good 5, 10, if not 20 years, because one, obviously you've lost money, potentially lost investors' money as well, and lost your confidence as well. So that's why I say think big, start small, get yourself educated, get yourself in the game, building your resources and learning how to do things properly so that you can play this game long term and enjoy the game long term without the undue stresses that you don't even know you might put on yourself. So anyway, till next episode, guys, hope you enjoyed this one. Talk to you later. Young New Advanced Property Strategies.